Welcome to this presentation. We really appreciate the time that you're taking aside from your busy schedule to be with us today. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Cynthia Groover. I'm a full-time faculty member here just like you. I am the discipline lead for the Paralegal Studies program, and I'm also the chair for the Curriculum Advisory Board. I'm coming to you kind of wearing both of those hats today to talk to you about an initiative that we are going to be participating in as a college, and we really would appreciate your support as we go forward with it. And the topic is marketable skills. Well, first of all, I'm going to talk about what marketable skills are and the support that we're going to ask that you provide for us as we go forward. So let's begin. We're going to start by talking about why this topic is important to me and is important to you. So let's go forward and look at what's involved with marketable skills. This is a mandate that is coming from Austin, from our state legislature, telling us that we need to come up, every single program in every community college needs to come up with marketable skills. We have a deadline, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's part of that 60 by 30 initiative that we've been working on. Several different parts of that initiative have probably come to your attention. This part is going to be about marketable skills. So our focus here really is about complying with state law. But it's not just complying with state law, because we feel like a marketable skills program can really add a lot of value to our students as well. So we see it as a win-win. We're complying with the law, we're helping our students. So let's go forward and talk about what a marketable skill is. Here's a definition that we have from some of the material that the state of Texas has prepared for us. It's a pretty long definition. I'm just going to hit the highlights here. The first part I'd like to show you is that marketable skills is about something that is primary or complementary to a major. It's something that your students are learning every day in the classroom. Something that they came to your program not being an expert in, and they're leaving the program knowing how to do that particular skill or that particular amount of knowledge. These skills can be technical skills. Perhaps they know how to draw blood, for example, or they could be soft skills. They know how to calm a patient that might be nervous about a particular procedure. But the bottom line is, perhaps the most important thing to know about a marketable skills is that they should be marketable. They should be skills that are focused on getting the student to that job. So we want to present them in a way that's going to be compelling for employers, that the students can use these particular skills to persuade that employer that they are the right person for a particular job. Now this definition is kind of long and a little bit cumbersome, so let's kind of drill it down and look at it a little bit more simplistically. What marketable skills are at the end of the day are the bullets that go into our resumes. We've all written resumes. We know the types of bullets that we see in resumes. Usually they're short, they're designed to be punchy and to draw the attention of the potential employer. They're a bit of marketing. Well, that's what we want these marketable skills to look like. Sometimes people ask, well, are marketable skills the same thing as program level outcomes? They're certainly connected to those, and they may seem very similar to those, but at the end of the day, they are distinct from program level outcomes. We'll continue to have program level outcomes for all of our programs, but they won't be exactly the same as what we're going to be talking about when we're talking about marketable skills. So let's look at some examples. For me, at least, I relate to examples a little bit better than a dry definition. Maybe you're in the same category. Here are some examples that we have from my program. And so we're going to look at some examples that I have developed in my efforts to develop some marketable skills. One example is draft legal documents such as affidavits, pleadings, discovery, memoranda, and letters. You can see this is designed to be very technically oriented. My students didn't know how to do any of this before they started the program, and yet at the end they will be able to do this. And so it's designed to communicate to that employer, this is what I can do now, I couldn't do before. But we can see there's also some that are a little bit more soft skills oriented. Communicate effectively with court personnel, legal professionals, and current and potential clients. Yes, we're helping our students develop these skills, but they are also broader skills. General communication skills, and they may communicate with court personnel a little bit differently than they communicate, say, with a mailman, but again, communication is communication. So we want to have a combination of these technical skills and also some of these soft skills. So these are some examples along the lines of what your program might also be interested in developing. So what is the format? What's the structure of marketable skills? Well, we want to, again, point to something that is a type of skill or knowledge that that student didn't have before, and that at the end of the day, he or she has more of than Joe off the street might have. They shouldn't be too generic. We want to tailor these in a way that's compelling for that particular employer. So again, going back here, we wouldn't want to say, can communicate effectively. We want to focus it on how our students are able to communicate within the particular job that they are going to be seeking after they complete the program. We also want our marketable skills to be punchy. We want them to be short and the type of things that would fit into a resume. So we want them to be 1 or 2 lines long, and we want them to start with a verb. Something like use, create, manage, write, research, something along those lines that, again, starts the ball rolling on that particular skill set. You're welcome to include buzzwords, names of software or names of technology that your students are going to be using as they work in that particular industry. They may be applicable, they may not be. If you find that buzzwords will be compelling to employers, feel free to use them. I, as a paralegal student or instructor, doesn't need to understand your words. The issue is, will your employer understand those words? How many do we need? Well, at the end of the day, we'd like for you to have about 5 to 7. If you have a few fewer, a few more, that's okay, but that's kind of our sweet spot. Keep in mind that these are intended to go on a resume, and nobody has, 50 bullets in their resume. That's not going to be a very manageable amount. And we don't want the students to be put in a position of trying to decide, well, which bullet should I use? We want to give them something prepackaged, ready to go. So we're not intending for this list to be exhaustive, to cover every single thing your student has learned in the program. We want to cover the ones that are most important and are most likely to get that student hired. And so you may want to start with more than the 5 to 7, because you may want to, through the process we'll talk about in a couple of minutes, willow them down to a more manageable number. We will also be showing you about we'll want to have probably about 2 soft skill components, and we'll show you how we'll be developing those in just a couple minutes, but we'll wait on that one for just a second. So let's talk about the timeline. We have time to do this, but we don't have extra time to do this. The state is requiring that we be completed with all of our 52 programs be done by December 2020. And so we really are focused on moving pretty quickly to completion. If you're part of the test group, we're asking that you start working on it as soon as possible and hopefully be done by December 2019. If you aren't part of the test group, we definitely want you to get started early in 2020 so that we can meet that deadline. There's a little bit of a process involved, and so it's going to take you about 4, maybe even more months to get this from the beginning to the end, from the date that you decide I'm going to start working on this until you have your marketable skills finished. And so we definitely don't want to wait until fall 2020 to get started on this program. How do I go about deciding what marketable skills I ought to develop? Well, we have 2 resources that we're going to talk about today. You may also find, though, that in your discipline there may be some specific tools and resources that you have that I don't know about, and so certainly feel free to use those. We're going to get started, though, talking about the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is bls.gov. I'm actually going to take us to that website right here so we can see what that's like. And here we have the Bureau of Labor Statistics.gov. I'm going to do this for my program, the paralegal program. What I do is I type in my particular discipline in this box. So I'm going to type in paralegal right here, and it's going to take me to some results. I'm going to click on the first one. And now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to go to this box. What do they do? Because again, we're talking about the skills that our successful graduates will have. So I'm going to click on this box, and you'll see under the duties we have, about 10, 15 bullets here. If you look at these bullets for very long, you will discover that I have plagiarized, or at least borrowed significantly from this list in developing the list that I already said. For example, we can see I say conduct research on relevant laws, regulations, and legal articles. If you go back and look at my list of marketable skills, I have research and analyze cases, statutes, and regulations. You can see that's definitely inspired from that one. And several of these others are directly inspired from bullets that I've seen here. So you'll want to tailor these to the particular discipline that you have, to what your program is focusing on. But this is a good first starting place. Let's also now go to ONET. Actually, let me just show you. I've taken screenshots of these so you can see. And this is a screenshot of that Bureau of Labor Statistics. It shows you the box that you write it in, and this shows you where you go to get these. So if you forget what I clicked on, you have that information available for you. So now I'm going to go to ONET. ONET is also a really awesome resource. It is a bit deeper dive. So it's going to give you a lot more options than the BLS has. So I've gone to onetonline.org, and in this box I'm going to type in my discipline, paralegal, and then I'm going to click on this first option, and you'll see there are probably over 100 bullets that they have. Again, this is overkill, this is more than I want, but if I didn't find what I needed with the BLS website, I'm certainly going to find it here with ONET. So this is another excellent resource that you may definitely want to use. And again, here's just a screenshot of that first page. This is the box that you're going to put your particular discipline in. And again, once you get to your particular discipline, you'll find lots and lots of bullets that again you're going to want to tailor and meet so that it meets your program's needs. Let's talk about those soft skills. We've talked about the technical skills. You're going to get those from the Bureau of Labor Statistics or ONET, but we also want you to have at least 2 soft skills. And here are some examples of soft skills that you might want to work with. And we have kind of 5 categories. We have communication skills, empirical and quantitative skills, teamwork, social responsibility, and personal responsibility. Let's say that I decide, well, communication skills are really important for students in my discipline. Well, this is the generic one that we have, but again, you can see how it's pretty broad. And so if you say you're in the one of the healthcare disciplines, you might want to, instead of using the term customers, you might want to use the word patients, for example. Instead of managers, you might want to say doctors and nurses or some other terminology that makes sense. You definitely can tweak these skills, but we want you to use at least 2 of these to be included in your group of 5 to 7. And if you need some support or help figuring out how to do that, we're here for you. We want to be that resource so you can be successful at getting the information that you need. Let's talk a little bit about how your particular marketable skills will progress through the program from the time that you develop the idea until they are accepted by the college. Well, the first thing you've already done. Congratulations, you've already attended the training. So you can kind of click that off by watching this video. Next, of course, you're going to want to use the resources that we talked about to actually develop those approximately 5 resume-ready marketable skills, using, again, those resources that we just showed you a few minutes ago. And then you'll want to, of course, develop at least 2 from those soft skill lists that I showed you back here. Once you have that list of 5 to 7 or maybe even a few more, then you'll want to take them to various stakeholders within your program. I put 2 little asterisks beside these because these are the most important stakeholders. You've got your district discipline dean, and you also have your advisory committee. You do need these 2 groups to actually approve your marketable skills before you can take this to the next step. So this is important to get buy-in from your advisory committee and from your dean before you go any farther. But we also want you to talk with former and current students and also with disciplined faculty. Could be full-time only or maybe full-time and part-time faculty. How you get the feedback from the students and the faculty is really yours to decide. You may want to do a survey, you may want to have a more informal process. We just want you to reach out to them and kind of get their wisdom about what we ought to do. If you have more than 5 to 7, you may want to use this process to whittle the list down to a more manageable number. Once you've gotten feedback from all these groups and the agreement of the dean and the advisory committee that these are the marketable skills your program should be using, you'll want to communicate those to Karen Murph. Here's her email. You'll just send those to her, and Karen will then take that list and lead that through the CAB process. It'll go on the agenda. In most cases, it won't be necessary for you as the discipline lead to actually come to the CAB meeting. You're welcome to, but you don't have to. If there's a question or a query that we need some more information, of course, we will invite you to make sure that we get all the information that we need. But in most cases, you'll send that list in, it'll be put on the agenda, and it will be approved. Once it's approved by CAB, it will then go to the senior leadership, and they will review it, and in most cases, of course, approve it. And then it's ready for the catalog. And it'll go into the catalog. If you have a website, we ask that you also put your marketable skills on the website. At this time, we're really ready to let the students know about the marketable skills. All of this isn't that useful until it's in the students' hands, and the students can use that information to draft that resume so that they can get that position. One thing I'd like to flag about this that sometimes comes up in these discussions is that sometimes students or discipline leads say, well, once I develop these marketable skills, how am I going to assess them? I've got some good news here. Right now, we don't need to assess them. We need to develop them, we need to communicate them, but we don't have to evaluate them at this point. So we're done once we get the marketable skills out on the website. Now I say we're done, but we're never quite done, right? There's always going to be that review or a continuous improvement model. And so we are going to be asking you in your program review, in that 5-year cycle, at the end of it, to evaluate marketable skills. Has the technology changed in your discipline? Are different skills, different software expected at this point? If they are, we'd want you to tweak those marketable skills. Maybe there isn't any changes. In that case, then there's no need to go through that revision process. As always, we're here for you. We want you to know that we are available when you have questions or concerns. We ask that you reach out to someone in the curriculum office. That could be Karen Murph or Dr. Deanna Hopes, or me. I'd be glad to also be a resource for you. We want to get your answers. We know that it's an important process, and we don't want it to be a burdensome process for you. So please don't hesitate to let us know if we can add value to the process for you. We have this kind of cheat sheet of what you need to do, and so I'd like to just go through this briefly. Again, you want to develop the 3 to 5 marketable skills bullets. These are the technical skills. Then you'll add 2 soft skill marketable skills from that list that we provided. You can tweak them to customize them to your program. You'll want to run that list of marketable skills by your district discipline dean, your program faculty, your students, and the advisory committee. Once you've gotten buy-in from your stakeholders, you're ready to send it to Karen Murph, and then we'll take it from there through the CAB process and through senior leadership. We hope that this presentation has been helpful. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. Thanks so much.